Hey everybody, we are back with bonus episode number 2, and you will never believe who's back in the virtual studio today. It is Ryan, everybody. What is up, Ryan?
Oh, not much. I'm just recovering from a very long weekend. Had a winter chill out, and then, it was a long drive up there Friday night. We didn't get up there till like 1 in the morning because
Wow.
Josh didn't get off work till late, and he also had to come pick me up. Then, I thought I was coming home the next day right away, but we ended up going rail fanning because I was with some train enthusiasts. So, it sounds lame, but the photographer and me actually got some cool photos of that one train that went by
Nice,
us. So
nice.
I'm actually kind of stoked about it. Um,
Yeah,
got a lot of cool
yeah,
photos
so
this weekend and had a blast.
nice. And you got some credits. Was it Scene 75 that you guys went to?
So I've had that credit, and I used to live
Yeah.
15 minutes from there, so I didn't even ride. But yeah, I literally walked Josh in, and he's a big arcade wizard and wanting to look
Yeah.
at every flat ride, but I was super tired and wanted to go home. So I literally drug him in, got him the credit, and I literally had to drag him out on a leash. It was funny.
Oh, goodness. But I'm glad you all had a good weekend up there. And this bonus episode of the Right of Your Life podcast is just you saying whatever you want to say about Winter Chill Out. Just let us know your thoughts, what you got to experience, and whatever you want to say. So the
Yeah,
floor is yours, Sword.
it was
So,
kind of weird because I didn't really, for one thing, it wasn't up until a week ago I even knew if it was the Saturday date or the Sunday date that I would be there because I'm not the one who bought the tickets. A friend of a friend bought the
wow.
tickets, and he had invited Josh, who invited me as the third ticket holder, and I ended up going, and it was nice to hang out with them. And we got up to the park at 8:30 in the morning, and I was under the impression that maybe it was you just everyone shows up at the same time and you just do the tour. But I didn't realize that each group had their own time and that y'all take a. This year it was a guided tour throughout the whole
Oh,
park, and I guess I can kind of take you through the steps to the best of my memory. But
go for it.
the very first thing we did was go through this costume and like it was like wardrobe basically. It was like the park wardrobe essentially for like all the entertainment. Couldn't have phones
Nice.
out or cameras in there because you don't want to spoil anything. I don't know what there was to spoil because literally it was just a giant hodgepodge of everything. Like there was even a
Safety
safety
hanging on
vest
the
in
wall.
there, and I was like,
Whoa.
okay.
Can't spoil that.
Oh, sorry, Cedar Point. I didn't know you guys had forklift operators like myself.
Scandalous.
But I don't really know what that was all about. But um, the next thing we did was walk out, and we went over by the boardwalk, the front part of it, where you can kind of get shots of the whole boardwalk construction and the new Wild Mouse coaster, which I actually forget the name of.
Wild Mouse.
Wait. Oh, that's right. They literally
That's
called it
literally
Wild
the name
Mouse,
of
right?
its Wild
Yeah.
Mouse.
It's funny.
Very creative name.
This is kind of funny. If anyone follows BK photo page here, he posted something funny on his story the other day. The very next stop we went through, was an arcade, which was kind of weird.
Hmm.
So we had 20 minutes in the arcade. They paid for us to like play in there. I didn't play at all. It was so weird.
That's so dumb.
It was a lot of start and stop, and that was probably the biggest knock at the event I had. Like we were really burning daylight out there. But anyway, we did the arcade, but as soon as we get around the corner, we get to see the backside of Wild Mouse in the boardwalk.
Ooh.
And it was funny because I see on Bomb's story and I can't unsee it. If you look at like the mouse, well, actually, it looks more like a tiger on top of the track. If you look from the backside, its butt cheeks are huge.
Yes.
And Bob put that on his story. He said, why does this tiger have a dump truck of a butt?" And I was just losing it.
That is awesome.
So everyone who goes to Cedar Point this year, just make sure you check out that tiger from the backside because it is unbelievable. Like, that tiger is thick, man. Anyway, we just keep walking, and the lighting was not very good, and the very next thing we went there was the linen closet and like the washing machines, and
Ooh.
it was something. If you really are that interested, I don't think anyone was. The coolest thing in there I've seen was a washing machine going 400 rotations a minute, which is really fast. But after that, we kind of looped back around to the boardwalk area again, waited by this little it was like, how do you describe it? It was the Cedar Point Pavilion, I think is what it's called. And that's where they were having all the lunch, and on the outside of it you could like take a picture with the Wild Mouse car with the coaster in the background, and right next to it was most of the trains sitting out in like this little picnic shelter thing. I honestly don't have the best description of it because it's not my home park. I don't know what stuff is called there. Then after that, I think I might have went out of order on accident, but oh well. We got to check out a maintenance shed tour, which was probably the second best part of the whole day. Got to see a lot of the trains up close, and they had a lot of employees that were very friendly and interactive and actually educational if you wanted to know how stuff worked, like how the sensors work as the train is going around the station and the computer system registers stuff. With the control panel, they had that on display. You could see like all the wheel assemblies up close and the lap bars disassembled, and they had an air compression brake on display that was going off. So just a lot of cool stuff, especially if you're like a mechanical / civil engineering nerd that likes roller coasters. I am not one of those things, but I do like roller coasters, so it was still cool to me. They also have a Magnum and Maverick car in display there, I believe. Yeah, I know the one was... Oh, it was a corkscrew car. That's right. So the like full displays in there was the corkscrew and Magnum car. So that was pretty sweet. And then, really, the other stuff we went through, I can't even remember in order, but I know we went through the sign shop, and that was kind of cool. I know Donnie would be a lot more interested in that than I would be.
Yeah.
Because Donnie is a graphic designer. I am not. I've seen a lot of cool signs in there, though. The Wicked Twister sign was in there. Just too many signs to count. One of the other highlights, I would say, was definitely getting to walk back through Millennium Force. And, I mean, they literally took you all throughout, like, there was, right where Slaughterhouse is, if you know where that's at, and, like, the petting zoo, you get to go under that big, huge overbank turn, and that comes after the drop. That's where you walked under, and you literally got to walk through the tunnels. There was 2 tunnels they take you through. Cool. Got to touch the track in so many locations, so many cool, even trainless photo opportunities. By far the best part of the tour, I think. I got my money's worth there. Slaughterhouse, I wasn't a big fan of walking through that, even with like the lights on and nothing happening. It just really weird vibes. I don't like it. But really, the only other highlight that I can really speak super highly of was the train shop. That was cool for like Josh and Avery, those train nerds. They were the last one. They were the first ones in and the last ones out. We'll just put it that way. But I'd say the other cool thing sort of was the announcements, and I am allowed to talk about the announcements from the horse's mouth. Okay, we just can't share the photos in there. So, my basic synopsis, from what I can remember, is the new Boardwalk Pavilion is going to be really cool. There's going to be the original stained glass from the actual Cedar Point Pavilion is being used in this pavilion that they're building. And it's going to kind of be guarded by like wood and some like newer glass framing. But the original glass is going to be in there. So that's going to be cool. It's going to be a lot of like bars, and there's going to be a lot of viewing areas and tables and I think restaurants in there. It's going to be cool.
So is it like the Fest House? Because that's what people speculated when this first was announced.
No, this is going to be so much better than the Fest House for what it looks like.
Okay.
What's going to be really neat is it sounds like there's going to be a connection to the boardwalk from it.
Oh,
So
cool. That's
you
cool.
can. There's no entrance in and out of the park, but if I remember correctly, I think there is going to be like a boardwalk viewing area, a way you can view the coasters. It's going to be really cool, and they're also working on having live entertainment on the boardwalk this year. Now, he
Nice.
said that this is not going to be your typical song and dance live entertainment. I don't know what specifically it's going to be, but that is what he said.
Probably local
Tony Clark,
bands.
the communications director of Cedar Point. Um, One of the other things, Chick-fil-A, unfortunately, once again, is being ripped out of the park, and this time I believe it is for good, because from what I understand, the contract with Cedar Fair as a whole is ending. So, rip everyone who loves Chick-fil-A, like
Yeah.
myself.
It's not their pleasure anymore.
No.
That's a whole nother episode, which
But-
it will be.
Funny story, me and Donnie both worked at Chick-fil-A,
Hmm.
so we know. We know stuff.
We do.
But I digress. It was cool getting to hear about. Let's see, what else did they talk about? I know for a fact that they definitely did tease the roller coaster stuff, and it was really funny because a little spit in my screen there. ADD. Anyway, it was really funny to see them. They had like this. You text this number and they would like answer your questions via text. That way it'd be quicker and easier than like raising hands and trying to hear everyone. And they, other than like the news we already knew, like we're relocating a few rides and renaming it and repainting it.
Yeah.
That's really all the huge news I have. But Mac Shack is closing. Sorry everyone. That's the one thing I forgot. Mac Shack is being torn out.
That's actually depressing because I wanted to try that so bad. It was closed when I went 2 years ago.
That's right. There's something else I'm allowed to talk about too. Forbidden
Okay.
Frontier is not opening for 2023. They are removing it.
Oh.
And the reason
What
for
in
that
the
is
world?
because of its poor performance, and I personally think it was in a terrible location to start with. No one could ever find it, and I was never really interested in it myself. So I'm going to say that's probably why. It's a low attendance.
That was short lived.
Yep.
Wow.
So, yeah, if you were like me and you just kept putting it off, I guess you're going to be biting yourself for it. But I heard it was a really cool attraction, too, but most of the people I talked to didn't do it, so.
I don't know. I've seen video POVs of it, and it seemed like your Disney's Jungle Cruise, like literally animatronics, and you're in a boat.
Yeah.
That's dumb.
I actually know nothing about it. I'm not even going to lie. I know nothing about it. Anyway, though, the one thing that I thought was really, really funny is on that screen where they had, like, text this, letters and numbers to ask questions. On the bottom, this is the example question. I kid you not. How tall is, quote, too tall, end quote, for roller coasters? Or can a roller coaster be, was the question. And I was like, that's definitely not a coincidence. So, the one thing is, if you walk by Top Thrill Dragster right now, which you could do, like, the station, like, all the yellow pillars are still there, but the platform, the track, everything is just gone. The bleachers are still there.
Wow.
Well, some of the bleachers are still there. And really, the only thing left is the tower track. But I almost wonder, like, if they're going to try and make the ride taller, wouldn't that imply that they would have to tear down what they already have and just build it up from the ground again? So, whatever's going on, they didn't answer. And the funniest thing is, there was one point in the presentation where they just quickly flashed over a photo of Top Thrill Dragster. And everyone was like, hey, whoa. And they're like, yeah, nothing to see here. So that's all we know. They wouldn't answer any questions, obviously.
Cedar Point is they love teasing people. They love it.
Yeah,
It
so
like
it's like,
that fuels them up.
part of me is like, well, maybe they will make it taller, but since it is Cedar Point, I would love to see them restart the Coaster Wars because right now, this whole everyone for the most part is just going to build family coasters is really getting on my nerves. I get it. If you're missing a family coaster, that's one thing, but I'm sorry, Dollywood, you already just built a family coaster, and you have two of them already. You do not need a third family coaster. You need a thrill ride if you want to get people to your park. I think, at least. But you know what? They're going to do what they want anyway, and that's perfectly fine because they love Jesus, and I will always support what they do as long as they do that.
Here's the thing, too. I've noticed this trend as well, and I hate to say it, but I've heard a lot of people say it. It's the coaster war days are over. It's more into immersive, family-centered park experiences,
And that's
which
so
there's
sad.
pros and cons to that. There's pros and cons because you need good places for family to go and enjoy time together, but at the same time you need those thrills because those kids are going to be kids for so long. And they're going to get older and they're going to be like, what do we do now? We can't go to Planet Snoopy. We can't go to Camp Snoopy. What do we do now?
It's funny
And
you
you're
say
going to
that.
lose attendance.
It's funny you say that because one of the things that the Zamperla CEO was actually, I think it was the CEO, some representative of the company, I forget his name. He was there and he was like, look, the one thing about this ride that we were really wanting to do was most of the kiddie rides at Planet Snoopy are 38 inches, I believe they said to ride. And the other rides you have to be like 48 inches to ride. He was like, we wanted to make a family coaster that's a little bit more aggressive and a big coaster that the little ones can ride too. So this ride, you only have to be 42 inches to ride. So that's pretty cool. I mean, the 10-year-old in me probably would have liked that, but now I'm like, all right, I'm 6 feet tall. They said that the loading platform is going to keep on moving, and I think it's the same old song and dance with rides like that, but we're not going to know how good the operations are going to truly be until they test it out and see how it goes. So we have until May to figure that out.
Yeah. But the next thing, I guess, for Winter Chill Out, and before we move on to this, but with the thought of Top Thrill Dragster, do you think that clip, that little promo teaser that they put out a while back, is basically saying, adios to this, we're about to do something that you're not expecting?
Sounds like it. I mean, they tore out 80% of the ride, so it just seems...
That's funny, too, because, yeah.
This is what I personally think is going to happen. And I know people are going to think I'm crazy for saying this, but I think they're going to somehow leave that last bit of track up as like a monument for the ride. Mm-hmm. But I think they're going to try and build around it. That's just what I think. It just doesn't make logical sense to leave it up and build something taller around it. It doesn't make logical sense to build off of it, especially if it's rumored to be Zamperla working with this, which it would make a lot of sense for it to be Zamperla because they just got Wild Mouse from Zamperla. So, and like, when's the last time Intamin and Cedar Fair have worked together? Like, that's been a long time, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure Cedar Fair is also not real pleased with Intamin after the whole Shoot the Rapids incident. So I find it odd that they would try and rebuild Top Thrill Dragster. I could be wrong, but I think its days are over. I think they're going to leave it up as a monument, which is why they said Dragster is not going away. It's just going to look different. Reimagined. Basically, we're going to build a ride around it. That's what I think.
Yeah.
I still need to watch Katie's Coasters video, and she collabed with Theme Park Predictions, which I was not expecting, but I kind of want to see what they had to say about it. But I have not watched it yet, though.
Yeah, so time will tell. But my prediction for it, I think it's going to be a space theme. If they do that shuttle launch that was shown at IAPA this year.
I don't even have an opinion. I don't know what they're going to put there. Because what I want them to put in the park and what they're going to put in the park are probably two different things. They really need They really need a good wooden roller coaster.
They do.
I'm
Steel
sorry.
Avengers is good.
Blue Streak is good.
Can't.
But they need like a GCI or a large scale gravity group if we ever see one of those again. Gravity Group, it seems like they're just a family coaster company now and retrack company. I'd be shocked if they ever do anything big again.
Yeah.
They kind of worked backwards. Like, they started out really big, and then now they're just doing little baby stuff.
Time will tell.
We'll see. I wish
Yeah.
the best for them, but we shall see.
Yeah. But some final thoughts of Winter Chill Out. I did see some pictures of the merch they were selling, and boy, does Kings Island and the other Cedar Fair parks need to pick up their merch game, because that looked so cool with the merch.
Cedar Point has a lot, and I mean a lot, of really, really good looking merch. Some of it is the more coaster nerdy style stuff that's a little wordy and has all the stats on it. Some of them are just really cool intermediate designs. Some of them are really simple designs, like that Blue Streak one I showed Donnie yesterday. They just have so many good pieces of merch, and there's only a handful of stuff at Kings Island I really think is anything to write home about. And if you've got a problem with what I say, it's my opinion. Respect it. It's 2023. I'm a free thinker.
I agree, and I'm a lover of Kings Island. Kings Island, I'm going to be honest, they put out a bunch of crap. I'm being honest.
Let's just call it how it is.
Good.
Nothing last year changed, merch-wise, except for
50th.
The way overpriced 50th merch or 50th anniversary stuff. The only good deals they had were the ones where you can pay like $25, get a pin with it, and you could get the 50th anniversary ride shirts. But like the actual 50th stuff, I think it was like $35 a t-shirt, and I'm going to be really, really brutally honest. Those colors were ugly. Black and yellow. What were they thinking?
Yet I have 50th stuff right behind me.
Like, okay, the actual 50 in the tower, like, I did like that. That's a good concept. But the way they put it on a shirt with like a circle, it just felt
that
weird.
Was stupid.
I did not look. And listen, I don't know if any of you guys ever got to Kings Island to look at the merch or look at the pricing. Most of the price tags for that stuff was like $60 for a sweater. Or no, actually, I'm sorry. I think it was $60 for the long sleeve shirt. I think the sweaters were like 80 some bucks because it had the 50th anniversary logo. I'm like, why is this so expensive? It doesn't even look good. I think this is a new piece of merch. The only merch that looked really good to me was the Racer 50th anniversary stuff.
Kenzie got a shirt of that, and it looks really cool.
I got a hoodie, and it is just... It's a really cool shirt. It's very minimalistic. It's got a slight fade to it, but I actually really like it. In my opinion, I do think the blue turned out better. But this is interesting. They made like a red racer and a blue racer version of it in the hoodies. They also did the same thing with the shirts, the t-shirts. But here's something I noticed. At the beginning of the season, they all looked a little too dark. And they didn't look real good. But halfway through the season, I started seeing some t-shirts that looked a lot more like my sweater, which looked really good. And I looked and checked the tag, and it was printed by a whole other company.
I noticed that with a lot of the merch.
So, some of it was really good, some of it was really not good, and it was the same exact shirt. So it was like, what happened here? Why are we charging the same for two different products? It just doesn't make sense. Something's not adding up here. But, I could rant about that for a while. My other
That's a
thing
whole
about
other episode.
I mean, I'm going to be real honest here. I don't get merch from Kings Island even as a Platinum Pass holder because I'm sorry. I just think it's really annoying that I put so much money into being a pass holder every single year, and all I get's a little kiss on the wrist. Like, yeah, you can save like 99 cents on your $50 purchase. Like, thanks. You know, there for a while at Six Flags, you could literally pay for a $50 season pass. And you could get really good discounts even at parks that weren't your home park. And it was like, I mean, I know they don't operate the same way anymore, but even when that was going on, like, that was kind of sad, you know? I kind of wish we had those deals at Kings Island, but, you know, I could rant forever and nitpick, but, I mean, overall, I am pretty lucky to have Kings Island as a home park.
I love Kings Island, and here's the crazy thing. I don't know if you noticed this with ticket prices. Obviously, they went up a little bit after the endless sales at the beginning of the year, but a Prestige Pass, when I bought it, it was, I think, I don't know, it was 200, less than a platinum, but a little more expensive than a gold. Now it's 300 something bucks.
No.
I don't even know if it's worth it.
Honestly, I don't think it's worth it. Good, cool. You
Well,
get a VIP lounge, but like, why would you? What? This is me thinking. What is so special about a VIP lounge at an amusement park? You're going to be out wanting to ride rides. If you're like me, you're going to want to film and take pictures and enjoy the nice weather, get the fresh air. Why in the world would you want a VIP lounge? And that's just kind of like, it seems to be the big gimmick for it. And you know, everything else, I'm like, I'm
that's
just
got for the parking.
You know, I almost made a video on this subject last year. Like, should you buy a Prestige Pass? And
Oh, that's coming
I didn't
for the
release
Islanders.
it. I didn't release it, but financially and logistically, my conclusion was no, you probably shouldn't because
Yeah.
literally all it's going to do is get you a little bit closer. And if you're going to an amusement park, I would hope you could be able to walk. I don't really see the point in paying that much extra. And at the time, they had this thing where it was like, you have one skip the line each visit.
Yeah.
So I'm
It's
like,
still going on.
that's kind of cool, but just get to the park early. Beat everyone to it. Guess what? You can be the first to ride. I mean, that, especially in my teen years, like, that was something that was so fun to do. Is get there early, do ERT. And this is something, you know, I hope if someone from the park is listening, please have grace when I say this, but in my experiences in recent years going to the park early, you advertise that pass holders can get in early, but pretty much every time the ride isn't even ready to go by the time you get there. And it's not labeled what rides were open and not open. You just pick one, hope it's going to open, and that you can ride it within the first 30 minutes. It used to be I could show up an hour early, the ride would actually be running. I remember in 2016 I could get the Banshee and ride it early. And it was so much fun. But, you know, that's why I quit. Personally, I quit showing up to the park before, like, 12 at noon. Like, I just don't go early anymore for that reason. You know, I'd just rather sleep in, go, because I live pretty close. But, you know, like I said, nitpicking, but I am grateful that it is my home park. I'm just a very opinionated person.
I think we all can be. Like, I'm like a diehard Kings Island fan. If you don't know that by my own social media page, but there's pros and cons of every park, and Kings Island, I know, is trying to do their best for what they've got. So, like I said, very quickly, there's going to be an episode, whether it's here, most likely on the Islanders, I might mention on here too, but about the Prestige Pass, we'll talk about that eventually, but we digress. I don't know how we got from merch to Kings Island.
We got from Winter Chill Out to Kings Island just because of merch.
Pass.
We were talking about merchandise. Man, we go on these rabbit trails, man.
That's the beauty of the Ride of Your Life podcast bonus episodes. You never know where we're going to end up. And quite honestly, in regular episodes too, you have no idea where we're going to end up. But,
yeah, we're professional commentators. We script everything we say. We stay on schedule, and that's just the way we roll.
Yep. just never mind. It's
Now,
gonna
for those of you
just
that
like the
aren't,
RMC.
for those that aren't
That's what we're
watching,
rolling.
I'm being sarcastic. You can probably see it in
Mhm.
my face, but if you can't, maybe it sounded serious.
Yes, but so what are your overall thoughts of Winter Chill Out? Would you do it again? Would you change
I
anything?
um, the only way they could ever get me back there is if they add more walk through, like coaster walkbacks. I would love to touch I'm trying to combine Magnum and Maverick. It would be nice to do both. I'd love to touch both, but I wish there was more coaster walkbacks. Um, Gonna be honest, there was a lot of stuff I really was not expecting to be on the bill. The arcade. I'm sorry I didn't show up for an arcade. I showed up to go get some behind the scenes shots and pictures
Touch
of
coasters.
snow and whatnot. And really, the funny thing is, throughout the whole day, there was a lot of stop and starting. And, you know, in the stop moments, it could be 10, 15, 20 minutes. You're just standing around waiting with a bunch of random people for the next thing to happen. And it was really frustrating because, like, for me as a photographer, in the morning, the sunlight was beating down, but by the time I got back to Millennium Force, it was overcast. So I missed all my opportunities to get the sun in the background and get some really cool shots. I mean, don't get me wrong, I still got cool shots, but they could have been even cooler. And it just kind of felt like, and I never went to Chill Out in years past, but I heard that they never used to guide these tours. So I really wish I got to experience it that way. But overall, like, the slaughterhouse walkthrough, like, why was that even necessary? Like, this is winter chill out? That doesn't make sense to me. But, overall, if at least, we got to go through the maintenance shed, we got to do Millennium Force walk back, touch track, got some cool photos of certain stuff. To be honest with you guys, more than half the photos I got weren't even of something I expected to get. It was actually just the two guys I was with, getting goofy pictures of them. Seagulls. I got some cool seagull shots.
Nice, nice.
But yeah, just I'm not gonna lie. I for the price they charge, I would say it's if it's your first time, go for it. If they don't offer anything else next year, I would say I probably won't show up again because you never know what kind of weather you're gonna get and lighting conditions. The Millennium Force walk back, if they do that again, it'll be the exact same. So, it's very subjective, but I would say no, personally. Too much start and stop business. Too slow paced. Well, okay, I say that. It's slow paced until you actually get into the doing what you want to do, and then it gets fast paced. So it's like, really? But, I'm not going to complain.
Yeah.
I know I probably sound negative, but it was fun overall.
Good.
Fun to see some people. I know Bob was up there. I ran into him and hanging out with Josh and Avery.
Cool. Well, glad you had a good time there, and glad you got to experience it at least once. So, all right. Well, that does it for this this bonus episode. We're not going to promise this is going to be a weekly thing, but we're going to do one every now and then. Just thought in the middle of our interviews with our team that we'd stop and just talk about Winter Chill Out since it's fresh and new in Ryan's mind and fresh and new in the coaster community. So thank you all so much for joining us for this bonus episode. Join us next week for Ryan's interview and testimony episode, so we're looking forward to that. But this week we have Blaine on with myself in Ryan's absence. So with that being said, hope you all have a great rest of your week, and we will see you this Friday with Blaine's interview episode.